Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox, on a Friday. We've made it to the end of another week, but more importantly, we've made it to the start of another month. Spring is in the air, we're looking forward to lighter evenings, warmer weather, but we will not let up on our constant surveillance of those charlatans that call themselves politicians. So, do please hit that subscribe button. It massively helps the channel. We are political and therefore pushed down in the algorithm, but when you subscribe, we get lifted up and our voice goes out to a wider audience so that more may hear the truth. Now, we've got a whole range of stories today, so I'm going to just crack straight on. We've got Claire Coutinho is this opening story. She is the Energy Security Secretary for the United Kingdom, and she is saying that between them, the SNP and the Labour Party don't bode well for the people of Scotland because they want to close down the oil and gas industry between them. For some reason, they think it's a bad thing, although I suspect it's because they are complete lunatics. We will take a look at this. We'll see why it's a bad thing, why she is still fighting to keep it open, why really, and I've got to say it without being partisan, the Tories are the only mainstream party that seem determined, especially for the northeast of Scotland, to keep people employed in well-paid, high-end industry and basically keep the economy viable. Everyone else seems to think that magic mushrooms and, well, quite literally, and rainbow farts are going to save the planet. They're not, of course. Let's take a look at this, see what she's saying. Here goes. So, Claire Coutinho warns that the SNP and Labour are racing to shut down the North Sea. And she's right. Both of them are going on about we need to have this push for net zero. We need to do this. We need to do that. These people are stupid. We know full well we need oil, and we're going to need oil for at least 100, if not 200 more years, because virtually everything in our modern world is made from oil. Now, even if every car in the world was electric, we're still going to drill for oil. And since you've got it on your doorstep, that's the place to get it from, rather than paying other people a lot of money to then transport it halfway around the world in tankers that burn fuel at a much higher rate than the cars do. It's the lunacy of the situation that really astounds people when you actually look at this and you say, well, what's the alternative? What are you going to use instead of oil? And they go, electric, because these people seem to think that oil equates to petrol. Petrol is a waste product. The petrol engine had to be invented to use up petrol that was developed when cracking oil. You do your fractional distillation of oil, you get petrol at the top, and they had all this petrol left over and they didn't know what to do with it. So they invented the petrol engine. What we're going to do with the petrol? If there's no petrol cars, you're going to have all this petrol laying around and there's nothing you can do about it. Anyway, with the Scottish Conservative Conference about to get away in Aberdeen, the Energy Security Secretary, she's heading to the northeast to underline the Tories' commitment to oil and gas. And it's very apposite, of course, that it's Aberdeen, the heart of the Scottish oil and gas industry. Although it's, with the closing of Grangemouth, that means that it's only a collection point. Everything else has to be done in England. But at least it's there, and it's a major contributor. You look at the economy of, well, Aberdeenshire, the whole of the county, the whole of that region. It's all dependent upon oil, because it's the oil workers that come in and spend their money. So it's the clubs, the pubs, the bars, the restaurants, the cinemas, the shops, the car showrooms, the garages, you name it. And it's all there, and then it all filters down through the tertiary and quaternary industries, the supply chains to the supply chain, all that sort of thing. The service industries that are attached, all comes out of the oil wells in that part of the country. And without them, that's dead, because there is nothing else. The UK's Energy Security Secretary has hit out at the SNP and Labour over their plans for the North Sea oil and gas industry ahead of the Scottish Conservative Conference in Aberdeen. Now, the thing is, the Tories are doing very badly across the United Kingdom generally, of course, because, well, Rishi Sunak mainly. But in the northeast, if you live in the northeast, now regardless of what you think, if you live in the northeast, you have to vote Tory. because everyone else you vote for is going to destroy your local economy. Now, you may not work directly in the oil and gas industry, but you can guarantee the very fact you've got a job is due to the oil and gas industry, regardless of what you do. And so to vote for a party that wants to make you unemployed and destroy your local economy is lunacy. Claire Coutinho said that Labour's tax rate, drawn up by Ed Miliband, would put 100,000 jobs in Scotland at risk. And it came after the Shadow Climate Secretary doubled down on his plans, saying the offshore industry must move towards carbon capture and hydrogen production. Yes, but do that first before you attack the existing structures that you have. And also, that will not create the same number of jobs as currently exists. So whatever you're doing, you're going to be destroying jobs. And you can't get away from that. It's not something they want to face. It's not things they want to hear, of course, because they don't want you to know the truth. The truth being that their plans are devastating. The SNP has been accused of hypocrisy for attacking Labour's proposed increase and extend the windfall tax on energy firms' profits, while at the same time they are undermining the industry through its incoherent stance. Imagine that. Imagine the SNP having incoherent plans where they're not entirely sure what they're doing. It's almost as though the party is ruled by complete nut jobs, isn't it? Like retards, idiots, morons, all of them. That's when they're not busy fiddling kids, you know. Speaking to the Scottish Daily Express, Miss Coutinho said, "I am delighted to be heading to this year's Scottish Conservative Conference to state firmly the UK Conservative government's unwavering commitment to the North Sea energy sector." Yes, and if you have a resource that everyone is using, and you think if we stop using it, the world will be a better place, and then that's provably wrong, why would you stop using it? Why would you commit national harry-kiri if all you're going to do is make your, you're not your opposition, but make your international partners richer while you're making your own people poorer? That's what will happen. If you close down the North Sea tomorrow, the price of oil will go up because production has decreased. So the price of oil goes up. So the Arabs and the Americans and the Venezuelans and all that, their price of their oil all goes up. They're all richer. Thank you very much. They're fine. They're happy. Everyone in Britain's poorer. And what difference does it make to the world? None at all. Except, of course, Britain's poorer. Keir Starmer government, with its energy policy set by Ed Miliband, would risk 200,000 jobs across the UK, half of which are in Scotland. Their blanket ban on new investment in oil and gas would decimate the communities who depend on those jobs and make the transition to net zero more difficult. You'd not be able to pay for it. It's the monies raised by selling your oil which can pay for all sorts of things. But if you're not selling your oil, you've got no money. But hey, doesn't take the likes of me, an economic genius, to work out the fact that if you're not earning money, you're going to be poor. And people keep voting these morons into office. What is wrong with them? Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much. We'll come up and we'll round off the video. You may have heard a little bit of barking at the back end of that. I don't know if you did or not. I can't tell. But if you did, that's my sister's dog. She dropped her in, and she wee snappy wee thing it is. Anyway, yeah. So oil and gas, vital, and both Labour and the SNP want to damage that vital energy sector, and for no other reason that they want to virtue signal and show the world how wonderful we are. Well, how wonderful are we when we're putting our people into misery, increasing child poverty, and generally spreading the worst kind of message in that they don't care about people. They don't want to provide jobs. They don't want to provide industry. They don't want to provide a viable future for your children. They just want to go, look at us. Aren't we wonderful? And yet the net difference to the world would be so negligibly small that it would be unnoticeable. Meanwhile, the other countries just ramp up oil production. Brilliant, isn't it? Everyone else gets richer, we get poorer. And that's what the SNP want to do. And if you're an SNP voter, look to your children and say, hey kids, I'm just going to make sure that you don't have a future, that you're going to live in poverty, that the world will be shitty around you, because that's what I do by voting SNP. Look your kids in your eye and tell them that. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video, and I'll speak to you later. Bye.